Welcome, welcome to the lovely HP community and the 5D collective. And to those who are new, you have landed on an episode? No, depends. Is it the first time you stop by at IHP? So, self discovery and purpose. Can you use your human name? And are you an open hearted, vulnerable person? Which means, are you your own self agent? Which means you own your child parts. I'm attachment trauma educated and informed. So, spiritual self help, mindful, living, loving, mystic mentor, and guide. Yes, content creator, consultant, you name it. Jack of all trades? No. It's the inner growth mindset. So, it's a lot of different words that mean I can support the people who want to be their self. Why? Well, because again, that's for anybody who is regular. We can be more of ourselves as we Okay, so we had some episodes today where we talked about it. Personal objectives, that's what you use a mentor, guide, consultant for, with the mindset in the forefront, because you do have the capacity to use your mindsight skills. You sift sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. I learn words from Dr. Daniel Siegel and more. I'm attachment trauma informed, and so I'm also mindfulness practitioner, finishing up my lovely certificate with one of the amazing schools out there. Okay, and this is where it's only one of the many things that are in my little toolkit. But at the end of the day, one-to-one mentorship, then our future master classes, of which I'm thinking to make some light versions before the big one, and that depends on our number of participants when they roll out. Workshops, retreats. Okay, so and if you do have any curiosity, The Ways to God, the book is coming out on June 28th, and I'm a co-author. My title of the chapter that I got to write with great honor: God is discerning and quantum is love. And so you can look out the YouTube community page for somewhere way back when. I put a link, but you can also reach out. We all react to knowns. The difference is in handling stress and yourself. We had a 1 minute short dash 5D mystic mindful mentor. Then we also talked about a safe haven is a self-aware regulating person who pursues personal growth and development dash 5D mystic. That's a 3 minute. And then we had a extended with a similar title to the We All React. Okay, so we all react to unknowns is the primarily focus right now. And when you know who you are, the self-discovery and purpose, and as a mystic, that's the part of where if you are spiritual, then you will easily follow your heart. Like I was able to easily follow my 8-year-old vague statement: I want to help people when I grow up. What do I want to help? I want to help them live a good life. And so while some people are like, what do I need you for if I need to be myself? That's people who don't know what mindset is and what resiliency in your emotional plane is. Okay, and that's why you a guide. But this episode is also going to integrate some of ascension energy stuff. Okay, so if you're a person, you can call us woo woo, and I'm definitely pseudoscience, but I'm not pseudo intellectual. In fact, I make fun of the pseudo intellectuals, and I try to spotlight the not monkeys, but I had an itch. I can spotlight the monkeys, but I spotlight good podcasts. And so we talked about a couple of them, and one is Patrick Tiahan. I love him. Another one was a lady that I mentioned in our shorts. She has a really, really good technical video on neuroception, which explains to why some people are in this consistent hyper-vigilant mode, but that there's good therapists out there to help them. Okay, and so for Patrick Tiahan, he helps people become their inner adult. And he today published something about a little clause or a little quote of himself, as he has a video on unfinished business, which when you are instead your inner adult, so you're working on your child parts, and you know about your window of tolerance, and you're getting to window welcome with it. Okay, so that's why a guide, that's why a mentor, that's why personal development and growth, spiritual or personal, is I want to do it. No, I want to do it. And they don't do it. I don't want to do it. The ones who do that, they don't find benefit, because what it is that until you're awake and breathing, you're going to have emotions. It's why the Zen master calls it laundry. But that sounds like a party pooper to me. Because I have a 3-year-old right here, and she's like, yay, I get to do more emotions even when I'm up to here, because of safe haven, secure base here. And then yes, you want the one. Okay, now the one is not, don't go there. It doesn't have to be romantic. Safe haven, secure base, and I'm not joking. I'm not choking or joking. So some people, they actively begin this number one, because they have a whole different story than mine, with their therapist. Okay, so it's a very serious business. But once they say yes to life, and they actually, so here's where Patrick Tan, he says, lastly, while we didn't cause it, he's talking about the trauma stuff, we are responsible, he says, for healing our childhood trauma. He says, interpreting accountability as parent blaming is just noise from those not getting the full impact of horrific child abuse. He says, we don't stay in bitter resentment post-processing and healing. With good enough healing, we lose interest in our abuse history. So I'm a big proponent of forgiveness and love, but again, I have a different background, a different story, and with Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. Okay, so when I think of emotionally immature people, they're all, one way, shape, or form, whether it's an attachment wound or some stuff with childhood abuse and trauma, the ones who project, they're bountiful, and that's our 3D4D collective, who follow pseudo-intellectuals, who give them a bunch of dogmas and they set boxes up. So they can be achieving personal objectives too, but their inner world, they're not waking up every day more kind, more energized. And that's the indication they're not getting more integrated. So there's not personal discovery and purpose coming forth with an open heart that is vulnerable to life, and that is deciding, I want more relationships, not less. I want more of my emotional capacity here, not less. And panic attacks have given me plenty of practice with my nervous system. And then the third is you own the sense of self. You don't stay with a disorganized and or distorted sense of self or distorted self-organization at all. So you work with what you know of yourself, and your discovery and purpose involve your name and bringing your solo self, which is yours, to others. So that's the beauty of when you're a person who doesn't live in resentment. So some people may not have forgiven that which is, parenting that has not taken accountability for their abuse, for how they parented, how they abused, how they modeled, how they conducted themselves, how they didn't use resources, how they refused to look at themselves, how they dismissed the impact of abuse. Obviously, I'm going to say that I know from attachment trauma courses that since the 1960s, 1970s, they began, the therapist community overall, to know of our embodied brain. But also, I've met therapists who say, I have a gazillion million ways to contest what you just told me. And I'm like, I'm trauma educationally certified, because I do consulting, mentoring, guiding, spiritual, mystic, Reiki master, so this big toolkit of mindfulness. But I'm pretty sure somatic therapist colleagues and all of them, and so the contesting was from this dude with his girlfriend who was somewhere, and he just wants to sit everybody down, come in for session 3 times a week. The first thing he described to me was what he was wearing. Now that shows you this human being. Sure, they have all the certificates, but that's why therapists, some get a bad rap. Meaning, there are those who say, I want you, Maria. I'm self-help, spiritual, mindful, and I give guidance in different content creative means. There's some surprises coming up, by the way. I have some ideas. Stay tuned. Once our tears are out, they'll be available here too. But anyways, my point is that it's not the mystics who are trying to shine and take away the platform. No, but yeah, if you see a shaman telling you not to go to therapy, that they will heal you and I'll get rid of 20 years of therapy. Okay, yeah, that not cool. So personal objectives are what would have you wanting to look for a self-help guide. Number 1, personal development, personal discovery is part of your MO, and you do know how to handle life. So you're not suffering, you're not thriving. No, you're thriving. I mean, the pain point thing to me, when I see the coaches and consultants and anybody who is making it into a pain point, I'm like, okay, all of that nervous system, and your story is awesome. No, not really, but I'm going to say there's plenty of really great Patrick Tiahans out there who completely let you know how Boca Raton, and not taking it seriously, the integration part. Okay, then there's the ones who say, don't worry, it'll take time, but we work with you. So the serious ones explain to you. So they don't say there's nothing we can do to you, help you. No, narcissist healable, psychopathy healable, sociopathy, so healable, all attachment healable. Okay, the people who want themselves, that's where selfish, sure, whatever, want to be in their well-being. I support once you have the capacity to be in, like Gary Vee says, you're in control, not your mommy, not your daddy, not your boss. He says you're in fucking control. And what he really shares is in the other stuff. Today he did this. I love the man. Authenticity is what you love and praise, because praising meaning excited, not like this. Nobody does that. None of the self agents do shit like that. We're intelligent minds. We have integrated brains. We own our sense of self. We know you know some knowledge. I know some knowledge. I want to talk. You want to talk? Let's have fun. Let's tango. That's how it works. So nobody gets into any hissy fits, by the way, because politics, religion, all of it. I don't do that on here, but my point is our group will. Is none of us are insecure people who have trauma charges and think that any of our cherishable beliefs are always all true. No, they could all be falsifiable completely, but really what we do is vote and talk and have fun and get knowledge and educate, and window of welcome to motion. See, okay, so that's why your herd grows. Having the safe haven, as I was describing to you, it's not about, for me, that I'll be eaten by the bear, or for you, because we don't live in those circumstances, but also it's because you're fulfilled, because you have self-discovery and purpose. So you are here to say, I do want mystic mentor. Which one? Which part attracted you to the title? So, okay, a lot of people don't watch all of those videos that I get to do, but I'm okay with that because I know the ones who do find value in it. You see, when you know what you're sharing and offering, you know what you are looking to support. It's the smart ones. Stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. I get sloppy still with my back exercises, but I know quality exercises because I've taken care of that, because my mother taught me, and because my back tells me, and because I'm thorough, and because professionals who do care are out there. The ones who don't care also, and I spot them and make fun of them. And I have been to them, and they will ask for the money stuff. They will make it very clear that it's not about the relationship. It's not about the outcome for the long term. A good therapist will want to see you leave their door. A good physical therapist will want to see you leave their door. A good mentor will want you to achieve your objectives. A good human being will want to achieve their well-being. But they're all good. Just some got shamed and think they're not worth it. No, they feel. That's the sad part, is that it isn't Lucifer and it isn't self-sabotage. It's that many are missing out on happiness, thank you, Gary Vee, because they choose blame, envy, jealousy, and non-responsibility as their emotional weapons of choice. That's very powerful because he knows it's the emotional stuff, even though they're not consciously choosing it. That's why Determined, Robert Sapolsky's book, because you don't consciously choose the emotion. It's the suffering from your poor little child who, and or something else. You'll know your nervous system. I know mine. Mine is all here. She's good. I can say it's okay, 1-year-old. And that's why I know who a safe haven, secure base, because it's okay. They won't call it my 1-year-old because that sounds really silly. Okay, but you can have a relationship with that. Depends on what words you tend to look to. I don't usually always use words, but sometimes I will have. And actually, I have noticed that it can be spot on when she's around. Just saying. Okay, but some people, like, I don't want to talk to my child parts like that. So you know that they're actually still, unfortunately, feeling whatever it is that happened as maybe they got pushed away or something. So their body and their child parts feel that they should be shamed. Because it feels, okay, so when you have, that's why Patrick Tian talks about we work to get out of having resentment, but we don't have to forgive. Because he says you're going to process, it's going to take time. I'll go back to that one after. So when you choose, he says, accountability, Gary Vee, your life gets so much better, so much love. So accountability, not only that, also awareness to have accountability and regulation of your nervous system. And that requires inner adult, functional inner child adults. And in fact, thank you, Sadhguru, if you can create the climate you want in your mind, emotions, and body, then your health, joy, and well-being will be taken care of. And we have an added word, your biology. Thank you, Neuroception, the video of the lovely doctor lady who explains some of what is also Stephen Porges' work. I know all about it. That's why sensory motor is important with Pat Ogden. That's why she says those who are not securely attached and don't know how to metabolize that which wants to be metabolized is because they're stuck, and that's that karma stuff. Now, they can still manifest. So when you see spiritual experts saying, no, they can't. No, they can manifest. But what life are they living? We got a starfish with no horse. You got a beautiful fancy suit, but inside there's basically the lack of the ventral vagal state. It's lack of energy because they're in there modulated. And the other part is that they're shut. They're using the dark sides of neuroplasticity, and they've shut themselves in shame, blame, fault, revenge. This is the most upsetting for a person who knows the technical words. Let me grab. There's a lovely infographic, and ICBM shares. Neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to reorganize itself both in structure and how it functions. And so what you want to know is that the actual scientists, like the actual genuine intellectuals, will explain to you, they will expand, they will give you what they know, and they will give you what they don't know, and they will not make it out to be a fact. People just don't like the facts. People who play with words like that are adaptive child part people, and they are not recognizing it, which is fine, because really they're the ones who are stuck, but they don't think so. In fact, they present with their teenager, the adaptive child part as a teenager, woulda, wanna, coulda, shoulda, dulda, and with resentment, and with envy, and with jealousy, and with a little venomous tooth where they are feeling satisfied. So for example, that fancy lady I make fun of, there's a video she does where you can tell she's like completely enamored with the fact that there are people who go to her and say, you know what, I used to be a toxic positive, but and she's like, yeah, see, I tell people how to. So when people don't understand what those of us who are fulfilled are, they will tend to make everyone out to be toxic positive that they see smiling. Because, well, you don't cry on screen. Yeah, I don't really want to. Why would I want to be vulnerable on screen? I want to hug while I'm being vulnerable. You're not showing that really. It's personal. So the part about when you have academics and therapists who are saying teenagers only see the smiles and they tell them everybody goes through things, they're trying to say everybody has life happening. Of course, they're not going to post, which is fair and square. Then some people, they do want to post it. And I personally don't want to see that, not because I don't know what's going on, because if I want to consume what's going on out there in the world, I like good documentaries, good ones, not shitty ones. So I like to hear the data. And then I can look at the pictures as they're presenting to me what is a documentary, not something that you have added a dramatic theme to, as well as conspiracy or whatever it is your assumption is. You're now tainting it with hypotheticals. And as an academic myself, that's not what I asked. I said data. You give me the data points, share next to each data point that which you want, sure. But other than that, it's like with the smoking, the brainwashing they did. And people that I've said that to, no, they didn't. I'm like, look, I've seen the ads. They got a guy in one of them, in America at least, that doesn't have feet or something like that. I smoke, and not anymore cigarettes, but cigars, and I have all my feet and hands. And so, I mean, again, choosing to show something and then finding out that there are people who will not smoke cigarettes, but they want to smoke marijuana. I mean, again, really? So moderation, one of everything. But my point is the tactics that people will think are not brainwashing. So we all are affected by that which we consume and that which we see. And again, it's not about canceling. No, everybody that is a genuine intellectual and smart self will want to be able to participate and talk. And so nobody's blaming social media for anything when you find genuine interested people in helping each other. They will say, we want to help the teenagers who have the adolescent essence. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, because that's where from your 11 or 12 to 25, your brain's doing some stuff. And there's a pruning process. When you get to that 11, that's why you seek the new alloparenting group, and your next group is that. So you will have the ability to play out your 0-8-year-old with your peers, and then you get to continue expanding. If you're growing, you're using the bright sides of neuroplasticity. So again, NICABM, the bright and dark sides of neuroplasticity. And the bright sides are that neuroplasticity enables you to recover from stroke, injury, and birth abnormalities. You can learn new ways of being and responding to conflict. In many cases, you can also overcome depression, addiction, obsessive compulsive patterns, ADHD, and other issues. And the dark sides, on the other hand, since the brain is neutral and is always learning, the dark sides is that it, when you're repeating the unhelpful thoughts, actions, and habits, you may entrench depressive, anxious, obsessive, and overreactive patterns. Okay, so that's the part of where self-regulation. It's not only about accountability, it's no stuck places, because that means you will have taken a look at that which you grew up. So when Patrick Tiahan talks about recovery, he says when it comes to recovery, there are different approaches about making sense of parents who were perpetrators or worse, those who don't protect despite knowing. One is to recognize up front that the parents were most likely abused themselves, so we must accept/love them despite the abuse. And he says, Patrick Tian, while I strongly don't agree with this approach, it works for some. He says, my issue with it is that I feel like it blocks out processing the impact of the abuse. And so he's trying to say you want to process what happened to you. And of course, you can understand your parent, but, work with what you got going on. And so, you work with the energy is how I'm going to bring it to you. But at the end of the day, when you get to here, you will be able to know that you are in control, not your daddy, mama, boss, like lovely Gary Vee shares. And you will not miss out on happiness because you will not choose emotional weapons of blame, fault, revenge, envy, jealousy, or non-responsibility. You choose, I have my emotional, mental, and physical plane. And as an Akashic record reader, when I heard that we master all these, I was like, cool. I knew when I was moving into my emotional mastery, and I knew once I stepped into my physical mastery. But that's because, again, I am consistently one with that which is Source, Akash, God, my channeling, downloading. It's very second nature. So I've been consistently doing Dharma because of mindfully living life as Maria, and not losing the authentic me. And that's the part of why you will know that you're deserving of self-haven, secure base. You're deserving of love, like someone else. No, like all people. But you can't make those who have shame, blame, fault, revenge, and have chosen non-responsibility. You can't make them. And I have a story. So, again, a guide, a mentor, is for those who are wanting self-help, personal development, spiritual growth, because you have self-discovery and purpose in the forefront. It's easy because you're an open-hearted, vulnerable person, so your emotions are not anything you shame. And that's where the workout. Good exercises, good practice, lifestyle, it creates habits. The reason I can maintain my back is I know the sweet spot, I know how to pay attention, and then I know how to say, okay, come on, get it together, here, let's prioritize. It's not a perfect anything. It's every year you will be given the opportunity because universe, God, Akash, again, life wants you to experience it all. So you'll get nudged in whatever area you're getting sloppy. If I'm a good girl, I'm a perfectionist, meaning that I'm teasing with my personality patterns, that I'm a securely attached perfectionist, so I am imperfect. And no, I'm not good. Energy isn't enough to be saluted. He thinks I'm bad. I'm a mystic. Remember, I come from Christian Catholic upbringing. Once I got clairs, I said, this is my human makeup, but some of my brothers and sisters won't love me. They're thinking I'm evil. Other people think I'm too serious. Okay, so, the word good and bad to me means you know what you're doing as a professional. And it also means that you know your value, your worth, and again, that you will always, everything happens for a reason. Every action has a reaction. What is meant to come your way will always find a way. This is something that I learned, and it was a while before I actually had it play out, and now I consistently know as it's playing out what I'm humored by for my own spiritual self-help mindful journey is that even though I know these things, walk like an Egyptian, I'm an empowered feminine and empowered masculine of myself. But I'm a person like everyone else. I don't have laundry Zen master, no. I just have this thing called I know what a safe haven secure base is. And that if Maria's 1-year-old wants just to sit and be hugged, that she deserves to be able to sit and hug herself or one body. No, we can make it 2. Come on. I know in my implicit memory I got 2 bodies. But my point is a real life hug with ventral vagal state. And then the consistent choosing, which is where, if you're curious of polyamory, Polysecure is a really good book, and Polywise. But Polysecure is good for all people. You don't have to be polyamory, but it talks to you about achieving secure attachment. And then it talks to you about a lot of very important topics of secure attachment. Although she uses styles, and she mentions Dr. Daniel Siegel. Dr. Daniel Siegel doesn't do the styles. I have 4 courses with him. It's categories. So I wanted to reach out to Jessica Fern, but I said, let me leave it alone. I'm sure she might meet him at some point, update it, or anyways, I'm sure she'll find out. Point is that, now I lost my train of thought. Secure attachment. There we go. So she shares how you can get there, and that once you're your own safe haven secure base, when it comes to partnership, you ask for permission. And that actually makes sense, because if a person isn't discovering their self, they don't have purpose, and they don't want to live a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self, and so they want to stay in envy, jealousy, spite, shame, blame, fault, revenge, and their trauma stuff, or whatever they want to call it or not call it. So the story is that I have avoidant, ambivalent, disorganized, definitely met those. Then I've met for sure secure attachment with attachment wounds, and or relationship wounds or abandonment wounds, whatever it is. But your secure can change over time. So I'm going to say that some people began with secure attachment, but then they got some stuff going on. So it's a very in-depth conversation. But to close it on out, again, guide is for those who want a mentor because they're doing self-help, spiritual and or mindful. It doesn't matter, but you know what you're looking for. I know who a good professional is because I know what my back needs, but it's because I worked with good professionals. And the good professional, they care, again, about the quality. So they will immediately tell you this ain't no short rodeo, okay? It takes work. Not hard, not easy. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. And if you are a person who does have purpose, you'll always be ready to expand, transform, improve, whatever word you want, but it's yourself you're being. The reason I don't feel changed is because I don't have shame. My 3-year-old, she's great. My 1-year-old too. I'm imperfect and flawed. Again, God takes me as I am. He's the one who I talk to when I have been ashamed of myself, and that's it. And I already made my amends, so I don't do anything that I'm ashamed of. Because standing up for myself, immunity isn't enough, is not something I'm ashamed of. I have healthy self-worth. Thanks to real. So the therapists have just shown me that I'm a person who is, one, a Jacob personality. I don't scan self and others. So I don't do Isaac or Abraham. This is a rabbi who brought me these personalities. So I can stand in the middle. When I got a person who has walled themselves up, I don't do anything because they usually set themselves apart. When I have a porous person, I say, look, it's not about sides. I don't think that you're really handling yourself, because I would love to hug you, but you're very upset right now. Okay, so the avoidance, they close themselves away. So they actually don't have exchanges, if you will. The anxious, they come on in and they're, okay, and so with that, they will say things like this. It's people who are happy who have a responsibility to make all of us happy. And it's okay, but your nervous system isn't mine. So you consistently, with your unhealthy self-soothing pattern, being in the shoe's always going to drop, you're going to forever be asking for more and more and more and more. When you learn from smart therapists like Janina Fisher, that's exactly where the anxious or ambivalent, however you want to call it, they're different, but they're the same, but they're different schools of research. Again, so ambivalent category is not the same research as, okay? So anyways, but she explains, so do other therapists, that the people who have the not secure attachment have to put the effort into recalibrating their unhealthy self-soothing patterns. That's why I mentioned the Fully Secure book, because she talks about things like that. And making it sound like you're always going to stay with those traits isn't healing. So again, that's a whole other group. But in this case, I will notice that I, on spite, go out of my way to make people unhappy when I'm unhappy. Then I will say it's too hard for me to stop doing that, because people, by the way, are fucked up and mean anyway. So why should I work on myself? So I'm going to put it on you, because you're the one who's supposed to be. Okay, so that's where it's all the blame, the shame. And then I'm going to go and use the platform to share my frustration, which is why some groups, they come along for the ride together with the charges. We don't. Here we come along for the ride with the heart and yourself and common sense. And that's why it's, yes, we unload, but we're unloading while we're metabolizing. So in eventual energy, we're just really saying, hey, Zen Master, laundry doesn't help you create resiliency. Yeah, life happens, unknowns, into the unknown, uncertainty, unwanted, unexpected. With an open heart, while going with the flow. And this is the moment of truth, though. As a person who does Dharma, so I know all about it, I can tell you that this, I definitely want my safe haven secure base, because I deserve a hug. And a good hug. And so that's the part of where you don't feel guilty or ashamed for knowing what healthy self-worth and healthy, securely attached partnerships are, and what you want, which is Terry Real says it best. Your relationship is your biosphere. And he helps couples. So he's saying you're one-to-one. Now he's not going to speak in favor, I think, or against poly, mono, don't matter. So that's where you, with a secure attachment figure, you continue to grow the bond. You strengthen the bond. That's why it doesn't make a difference what words you want to use. Okay, but it's your biosphere because two people have said yes. They desire that, and that's the moment of truth if you actually are in life with yourself and your well being. Emotional. And the weapon, it's not a weapon, it's love. You don't do any of the suffering business because you understand it from that nervous system perspective and you get out of that and da 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 da. Okay, so your biosphere. It is in your enlightened self interest to keep your body, your biosphere happy, including your body. The biology thing is what, if you are a person who wants your health, you'll understand neuroception. And once you hear it, you're like, okay, I want to go find out where this lady works or who's her therapist crew because I totally. Unless it's not true. It's because of society and you, Maria. It's because of stupid idiots. Sure. Neuroscience. Flat earthers. Are you having a good time? Okay, so a guide, a mentor, again, self-help, a professional, a human being who cares about what they do, brings to you explanations, information. They love to chit-chat about it. You're like amazing. You just love to be immersed in it all the time. So my immersion is I get to help you to be yourself. Isn't that fun? Isn't it? I love it. You have personal objectives, which are different than my objectives. You just know that self-consciousness, humanity, and sciences and spirituality, we expand all together in love. And that's why I love to love. And my baby, he loves to laugh and live and learn, expand, and not cast stones. And catch a falling star and put in your pocket. You never let it fade away. So, by the way, when things take place, for those of us who follow the nudge, that's why we are living. And this is a time to remember. You'll always know everything happens for a reason. Every action has a reaction. Everything that is meant to come will find its way. And if you are a child of faith, if you're a child of science, you're going to be, it's very straightforward, Maria. I get to put my two hands and feet and do it. Yes, do it. Like Nike, just do it. Yes, you're right. Scientists, thank you, determined. I think they still have free will, but I got it. Okay, so they're just very straightforward. I'm going to say, yes, all of our trauma stuff and what we just said, great, right? Spot on. Now we're over here. Okay, so that all takes place for those of us that do spiritual self-help, mindful, mystic, enlightenment, soul age group, functional, child, adult, living and loving and hoping and wishing. Okay, so I live that life. I'm just saying, I walk a walk and talk a talk, and we're very lucky because I know God never sends me something to take it away, which is why Buddha makes fun of me, because I make fun of suffering, because I say, no, Sylvester, it's not about how hard you hit. And it isn't about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And no, Sylvester Stallone, life don't hit you to your ground and knees and, you let say the finger in it. No, but yes, was it empowering and motivating to watch them? Yes, at the time. Now I have a lot of things I could say about it, unfortunately for you, but I won't lose. I'm still part of your community, although I'm sure people will judge me for it. Like they judged the fact that I like Frank Sinatra and that I like, Dean Martin, and the judgers, they don't know who God is, and apparently they don't know how knowledge is power, and our ancestors didn't have any of this. So not being able to understand timeline and knowledge and creating a story, they didn't have specific pieces of technology and knowledge. In the ancient times, Hippocrates told his people, when we will find out what epilepsy is, you will stop calling it the wrath of the gods. I share with human beings. Neuroscientist Patrick McNamara proved there's no demons in the body of anyone. So everyone has something to believe in. I get to see people in cloaks making fun of Sadhguru. Everyone has something to believe in. Okay, again. Wow, it's not just mass media. Where's the pseudo-intellectuals being interviewed by these podcast hosts? There's like 5, if not 10 or 20 of them. They're doing fabulous. I am not copying them at all. I'm just spot them and I'm like, wow, that's a nice suit. I wonder if they have half a brain going on. Yeah, of course they do, because really, and only a person who doesn't recognize what they're interviewing would be like, I'm doing awesome. So the people who care, we interview the genuine intellectuals, and then we like to mingle and tingle with all. And really, the reason why we don't want to interact with those who, I know the facts, people don't like the facts, it's because of that. Like, I can go watch you somewhere and then make fun of you without having to interact with you, but no buts. So as a podcast host, I love genuine intellects. And I love to share with you what I spot as genuine. And then again, the ones who are pseudo, I know what they serve, because I'm not kidding. Not all of our brothers and sisters choose to become their self because they don't discover that the purpose is easy. It's open-hearted vulnerability, but they need to say, I love you, 1-year-old. I love me, whatever you want, but I'm going to get support so I can wake up better with my thoughts, wake up better with my body, wake up better with my emotions, wake up better with doing relationships, wake up better because I'm the common denominator, and it's not only mindset, but it is biology and mindset, and there are people who are helping. And so I can do it. And then however long it takes, because the ones who are really good are saying we have learned some new things, we still keep learning more new things. And that's why you know the difference between a true scientist versus one who's a pseudo-intellectual. I'm pseudoscience because I know who true scientists are. They don't give up on their research, and they don't give up on being with their peers, and they don't set up separate schools so that they can only do what they believe, and then they don't separate themselves from the globe. The minute you're isolating in small little groups, it's basically like the flat earthers. So dogma, or whatever word you want to use, because I don't really like using that word, it's very clear. A genuine intellectual notice, it took me enough time. No, YouTube got to spotlight a couple of things and more, and I've noticed their MO because the pattern is clear. So the algorithm, you can put it to the side. I don't even give a shit because I already know what the algorithm does. Thanks, Gary Vee, because every social media platform knows exactly how they're looking to have you stick around on it, and it's based on your community, and it's based on your interests. So when I share knowledge, it's for those who will be intrigued by it, not the ones who say, everyone has something to believe in. Those people, they'll come and just say self-help bullshit, pseudoscience crap, mystic, You know what? She doesn't know anything. She's talking about it's so clear when you got a baby in the room, and that's what they are. They're not brilliant. A wise mind is a wise mind when wisdom is with humility shared and knowledge is known to be bountiful. And then you continue to allow yourself to know, yes, of course, discernment, or if you call it skepticism, it doesn't matter which word you want to use. I use discernment, not the skeptic thing. But you come in with the wise mind, you come in with an intelligent mind, you're going to know how to discern because you have equanimity. So you won't only take what you like, and you will spot at a certain point the repetition of one story and say, okay, hold on a minute, and you're all over here and they're all over there. Okay, let me go and grab both of these groups, and then let me go and grab that third group, and oh, wow, okay, because when you grab the third group, the ones who care about learning, now I know why they use reptilian the way they do. Now I know why they use a lot of words the way they do. And I know that some of them, but I try to explain that I'm fucked up, meaning I don't know how to explain it all in the way of academia. I left academia on purpose. I'm bringing it all in. I'm not fucked up, by the way. Nobody's fucked up. But my point is that I do what I do with the awareness of why. And I try to explain to you where they all come from. But I'm still a storyteller. That's why it's educational, entertaining. The difference is I have the capacity to know what is going to be useful, and then that I'm working with people who are curious, open, accepting, and loving, and intelligent, because that's the people who will come back, because my open heart will actually not draw anyone who is, because when you suffer life and you don't want ventral energy, you will engage with it from time to time because you need that, because your body is just looking for a moment to take a break. But you won't be around it because, again, anyways, enough about that. So people who don't want to choose to find their purpose and be their true self and self-discovery, they don't need a mystic, they don't need a mentor, they don't need self-help, they don't need a story, they don't even need a guide, and they don't need mindfulness, even if they think they're doing it, because they've ignored the very fact that in the morning they wake up very upset and that their relationships aren't expanding. And so thank you for stopping by. We will be back with more. Have a lovely day. Like, share, and subscribe. And again, for mentorship, you email. For workshop and masterclass, you email to get on the list. And there are some surprises that will be coming shortly or at some point. I'm still thinking about it. So thanks again for stopping by.